and welcome to the Cedar Arrows Podcast. My name is Rebecca. This is where I love to chat about knitting and homemaking and homesteading and homeschooling and literature and all the things I love. I'm so glad that you have joined me today. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and for your continued support. And if you are a new viewer, I'm so glad you found me. Thank you for choosing to spend some of your time with me today, and I hope that you will find something here that you love. Today is Saturday, December 2nd. It's still pretty early in the day, so the house is nice and quiet. Children are sleeping in a little bit today. I do have two dogs with me here in the room. Right now they're dozing on the couch, and I hope it will stay that way. Last time I had to pause recording at least once, maybe twice, because of barking. They saw something out the window they were sure would eat us, and so anyway, I hope that today they will keep snoozing because it's early, and maybe we can get through this without too much noise. I don't have any recording lights, and it's a very cloudy, dreary day outside. So I prefer to use natural light, and today that just wasn't really feasible. So it is what it is. I've got all the lights on that I could manage in here, and I hope it's not too distracting and that it will work for today. It is what it is. So the weather it's weird. It's not really weird for here, honestly. It's pretty typical to get wet winters, but it is unseasonably warm today, which I'm not thrilled about, but it'll be fine. It's just life in Alabama. So it has been 2 weeks since last I recorded. Much better than several months. I'm doing much better this time. It has been a busy couple of weeks. We had Thanksgiving last week. We've gotten the trees up and gotten ready for Christmas. So lots going on, a lot of gift knitting happening, lots of exciting things. So I am thrilled to share some of it with you and chat with you for a while. So I guess we'll begin with talking about what I'm wearing. This is the Aurelia Cowl by Hilary Smith Callis. It's just a simple, beautiful lace decal. I love Hilary Smith Callis's patterns. I have knit several of them. This is one of my favorites. This was knit with the Yarnberry from her classic DK, I think she called it, in the Dickens colorway. I love Charles Dickens, and this one just called to me. I was sick in the bed a couple of years ago, and I had this pattern in my mind for months. I wanted to knit it, and I didn't know what yarn to knit it with, and I was just kind of waiting for the right thing, and literally laying in bed miserably sick, and just it popped into my mind, you need to order Dickens yarn. So I did, but I blamed my being sick for the fact that I didn't order enough. So Emily was kind enough to dye me a second skein a couple of weeks later. And I got this finished up in a pretty short amount of time. Once I started it, I could not put it down. So it's a couple of years old. I just love it. It's still one of my favorites. I don't think that Emily is dyeing yarn right now. I don't know if she plans on getting back to it. I know she's had some health struggles, but I have several things that I've knit with her yarn, and I just love it. I'm so glad that I have them. All right, well, I guess we'll start with finished objects. I have finished my son's Christmas socks. These are for my oldest son. He has the biggest feet in the family now. My feet are not small. These blockers fit my feet, and his socks have quite a bit of extra space on my blockers. But this is Knit Picks Stroll Tweed. The brown is the Reindeer Heather colorway, and the blue is North Sea Heather. This is just a 3x1 rib. He likes a 10-inch leg, so I just knit the leg until I hit 10 inches. And then I do a slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and then roughly 100 rows, I think, before I begin the toe. And it's just kind of a basic wedge toe. I have one little stripe of blue here before the toe, which I thought added a nice little detail. I think he will really like these, and because it can be really difficult to get the long leg over the heel, over the foot, he'll really enjoy the 3x1 rib. They really like having a good stretchy leg. So I'm thrilled to be done with those. I have the second one here. It's just not on a blocker. But it didn't take me a terribly long time to knit these, but I really wanted to get most of my gifts done before the beginning of December, so I can focus on a little more selfish knitting, I guess, through December. And so I was really glad to go ahead and get these finished, and ends are all woven in and they are ready to put away for his stocking. So that's my first finished object. My second is another pair of socks that I was working on last time. This is for my middle daughter. This is the Big Sky Yarn Co. Robbie colorway, and I have partridge heel for the girls' socks most of the time. I just love that stitch pattern. I think it's so pretty. She likes a much shorter sock than my sons do, so that's kind of nice. I talked about that last time, how it's nice after several pairs of the boys' socks that are really long. It's a little more potato chippy to knit the girls' socks because they like the shorter legs. So I always do 20 rows of 2x2 rib for the cuff, and then I think this one is 18 rows from the cuff to the heel flap. And then same toe. I pretty much do the same toe for everybody. Everybody in the house except for my husband, the heel flap and gusset fits best. So I don't really follow a pattern, but I do have the same basic recipe that I just adjust for preferences and measurements. So it's really nice that I can just cast on a pair of socks and not really have to think about it. And that helps a lot with knitting so many socks every year for all of their growing feet. But I think she will love these. I already know she loves this yarn, so I'm excited to have that one done. I have 6 children, but that daughter has a birthday in late December as well, so it's always my goal to get 7 pairs of socks done in time for Christmas so that everybody has their pair in their stocking, and then she has her birthday pair. So I have one more pair to go. I'm almost done, and it's just so delightful to see that pile of socks growing as I finish them. It's just such a nice sense of accomplishment. My next finished object is one that I had not even started last time I recorded. This is the Explorer Vest. This pattern was designed by Julie Gilliver, I think. It's on Ravelry. It's a really sweet baby and toddler design. The construction was very interesting because it started at this V, and then you do all the fiddly bits with the neckline and the shoulders first, going back and forth, and then join in the round to finish the body. And it was kind of fiddly to get started. Took me a while to figure out what I was doing. I had to read some of the instructions several times to really get it into my mind and to understand what I was doing. But it was really kind of nice to get all the, the more paying attention stuff done, and then just be able to knit the body. Because usually I've knit vests from the bottom up, and so you've just had this knitting and knitting and knitting, but you've had to keep measuring and paying attention to know when to split for the armholes. So this was really kind of nice to just be able to get all of the more difficult, stuff you have to pay more attention to out of the way, and then just be able to knit. And then it finishes with a 2x2 rib at the bottom, ribbing at neckline and armholes as you do. Because this is a baby garment, it opens up here over the shoulder, so it's got a couple of little buttons. So this is for a little boy at church. Well, he's not born yet. A little boy that's on the way. He should be arriving next month. We're about to have a baby shower for him, and I love to make things for our church babies. We've had a little baby boom over the last couple of years, lots of little boys, and then in a couple of months we have a little girl coming, so I'll be knitting for her soon. But it's so exciting to have so many sweet little ones in our congregation. I love that. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this yarn that I used was Knit Picks Swish DK in the Cobblestone Heather colorway. I love that gray. I've used that many times. I love using this for baby gifts because it is easier to care for, and I love the heathered colors. So this only took me a couple of days to knit. I love that about baby knits, and especially with a larger gauge yarn, it just kind of flies off the needles. This pattern is designed for any gauge. Like, she gives you different gauges depending on the yarn you're using, so you could use it with fingering up to worsted, I think. Actually, I think she even had bulky, so very customizable pattern. So I really enjoyed that. I will probably be making that one again. So that's all for my finished objects this time. So let's talk whips. Okay. First off is my hat. I showed last time that I was working on a swatch to knit a hat for a friend, and I actually changed my mind on the pattern I wanted to use, and I am working on the Thumper hat by Boston Jen of the Downseller Studio podcast. It's just a really sweet kind of diamond lace motif. I'm knitting this in the Ella Rae Classic, what was it called? Ella Rae Classic Wool, and this colorway is called Purple Heather. And I just think it's so sweet. I have knit this pattern several times. I have, I think, 2 of the hats in this pattern. I think I've knit one for each of my daughters. It's a great pattern. And because it's gift knitting season and there's so much going on, I wanted to do something I had knit before, just because that way there's less guesswork with sizing and such. I tend to knit smaller. I always have to move up at least a couple of needle sizes for a pattern, and so I was just a little bit afraid that if I knit a pattern I had not done before, I would end up having to knit it twice. I was afraid it would not be the right size and then I'd have to rip it out and try again, and I just didn't really want to take the time right now. So I still want to try knitting the bankhead hat sometime, but that'll probably be more on my own time later when I have more time. So I'm really enjoying this. It's just a nice simple lace. It's got a really pretty 10 rows of twisted rib for the brim. It's just such a nice pattern. I really enjoy it. Let's see. I'm knitting this on size 9 needles. I don't remember what the pattern calls for, but like I said, I usually move up at least 1 or 2 sizes. And I'm almost halfway through the body of the hat before I start the decreases, so this won't take me much longer. It's not really been a front burner project because kids' socks have been, but as those are finished off, I have more time for other things, so this will be finished pretty soon. I also wanted to show this beautiful bowl that I'm keeping it in. Last time I talked about my trip to Alaska. I did not get this in Alaska, but I have a dear friend who lives there, who I saw there when I was there for the wedding, and then she ended up kind of coming on a surprise trip very shortly after that, and I got to see her again, and she brought this with her. She said she was agonizing over what to bring me, and she was looking at all these different beautiful birch wood products, and her husband said, "Come on, this is for Rebecca, get her the yarn bowl." That just made me so happy. So it's just beautiful. I love it. It's made in Alaska, in Fairbanks, where she lives, and it's beautiful. I like to use it, and I love that it's from such a special friend. This friend that got me this bowl I met her when she had 2 little bitty children and I had my first baby, and we hit it off immediately. We became just besties right away. She's a true kindred spirit. She lived in South Carolina at the time, and several years ago moved to Alaska with her family, and we've only seen each other a couple of times since then in the last 12 years or so. And so it was such a blessing to see her more than once this year. And I'm a very sentimental person, and gift giving and receiving is one of my love languages. And so to have something like that somebody brought me from a special place, somebody that I love, it's really special. So I'm enjoying using that bowl to knit my friend's hat, and it just sits here on my bench and I love looking at it. My next whip is my last pair of kid socks for Christmas. I'm not very far along because I was a lot further along and had to rip out several rows, but that's okay. So I am working on the Sprig socks by Margaret of Heidi and Lana for my youngest daughter. So this is such an interesting sock. This daughter loves shorty socks. She wants like the no-show type sock. So I usually have knit her socks like the one I showed a few minutes ago for my other daughter, with, you know, a cuff and a short leg, or even sometimes I'll shorten her cuff so it's 10 or 12 rows. But when I saw this pattern, I thought that's perfect. So it starts with this tiny little little cuff, if you want to call it that, I guess, and then goes straight into the heel flap, and it has kind of a V at the top of the foot. So it's just very different from anything I have knit before. And she has very narrow feet. She's a very petite, small person. So this pattern has more stitches than I normally do for her sock. So I've eliminated some of those stitches to make it fit her foot better, and then that kind of messed with the little flower sprig motif on the top of the sock. So that's why I had to rip out some rows and start over. But I'm sailing now, and these will not take me very long. She has the smallest feet in the house, lengthwise and around, so hers are always the quickest and kind of the ones I save for last. I'm pretty sure her feet have stopped growing, and so I think I can even with her start well in advance and whip up a pair of socks for her and put them back in the closet, and she can wear them months later. So that's kind of nice. For so long, when they were smaller and I started knitting socks for them, I had to start late in the year and just knit my fingers off because their feet were growing so fast. So then one year I knit the socks to the length that they currently needed them, and then didn't do the toes, and I just had 6 pairs of needles, 6 sets of needles with 6 pairs of socks on the go. And then when December came, I just flew through putting toes on all the socks, and, you know, added length if I needed to before doing the toe. And so all the different things, I have figured out ways to make sure the socks still fit on Christmas. And so it's kind of nice. You know, there are perks to the kids getting bigger. It's kind of nice that their feet are not growing quite so quickly. So I wanted to show this bag. I love this bag. This came from the Prickly Owl. I think I bought it last year. It's got this gorgeous leather zipper pull and just the cutest snowy house fabric. I love snow, I love winter. So I love Christmas, but I like having things that are winter that are not specifically Christmas, because I can use this so much longer. And I love this leather zipper pull. I think it's so pretty. So there's that. My next whip is, oh, I forgot this yarn. I always forget that. This yarn is from Suburban Stitcher. It is her sock base in the chicory colorway. I love this brown. Back in the spring, I knit a shawl for a friend of mine using Suburban Stitcher yarns, and I had that little bit of chicory left over, and I was really tempted to keep it for myself, but I decided to use it for a pair of socks for my daughter. I think she'll love it. I just love that color. I love neutral, earthy, natural colors. So my next whip is a thing I kind of thought I would never work on. I have never been a big fan of knitting blankets. I wanted to knit smaller, quicker things. I felt like a blanket took forever, but I have become more and more of a process knitter and less of a product knitter. When I was a crocheter, it was all about the finished thing. Like I really wanted that piece. But I want to knit all the time. And so I'm kind of moving from wanting to knit socks and hats all the time, the quicker things, that now I just want to be knitting, and I like a longer term project. Because it just, there's so much gathering of things and swatching and thinking and planning involved in starting a new project, but with a longer term project you can just pick it up and knit. So I am knitting a Habitation throw, and I am so excited. There's some backstory to this as well. I have for years wanted to do a yarn advent calendar. They're so big in the knitting world, and I see so many people enjoying them, and it looks so fun. But it's honestly just never been in our budget. It's just not a thing I needed to purchase. And every year I will look at them and dream about them and then decide that I really shouldn't get one. This year, after having done that and talked with my husband about, oh, I sure would like to do this, but I feel like I shouldn't do it, I got a message from the sweetest message from the sweet Deborah of Candy Shop Yarns, and she asked me if she could send me one of her advent calendars. Blew me away. Absolutely made my day. So I didn't talk about it last time because I was not sure if everybody had their advent calendar yet, but I am so excited that this year I am knitting with this beautiful advent calendar. So today is only day 2, so I'm just getting started, but I had so much fun yesterday knitting yesterday's yarn and getting started on this blanket, and I'm just so excited. So her theme is 80s, the 80s. It's a retro rewind. Look how cute that is. So I have opened, day 2 is empty right now. I've opened both days, and I am just already having so much fun with this. I cannot believe this gift. It's just incredible. There's the full skein to open on the 25th, 24 20-gram minis. I'm just so excited. So this won't go up until the 3rd, so I think I'm safe to share what I've got so far. I already need to put this on a longer cable, but I just grabbed what I had handy yesterday. But this is day 1. It's so pretty. This colorway was Miami Vice, I think. I'm already forgetting colorway names. Isn't it pretty? I just love it's sparkly, and I usually don't go for the Stellina bases, but I think it's so fun in the blanket. So this is day 1 of the Habitation throw by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade, and I can't wait to add day 2. I guess I'll go ahead and show it because this won't be going up till tomorrow. So if you haven't seen day 2 yet and you don't want to be spoiled, look away. I guess maybe I should have said that a minute ago. I'm new at this. But this is day 1, and then this beautiful, it's not really showing very well, this beautiful bright pink will be added on top of that. and it goes just perfectly with the brighter speckles in this colorway. So it's perfect. I am having so much fun with this already. I'm so excited. As soon as I finish recording, I will add in the day 2 skein. I can't wait. So I have given a lot of thought to what I wanted to do with these mini skeins. And I just kept coming back to the Habitation throw because I think it's so pretty, and it's something that I can use all the minis together and that will last, you know, for years here in my house, that I'll be able to have in my home and use. So, excuse me. So then I noticed that the pattern calls for 10 grams each of the 24 minis, but that it's a very easily customizable pattern. You can make it bigger or smaller as you wish. So I started thinking, well, maybe I should use the whole mini skein and make a bigger blanket. And there's a lot of people around this house, and we often share blankets, and so, you know, I can just picture us cozied up on the couch, and maybe a bigger blanket would be nice. So I decided that instead of just knitting the whole 20-gram skein in before adding the next one, I saw this genius idea on Ravelry, and I can't remember the name of the knitter, but anyway, she had this genius idea of dividing her minis in half, using 10 grams, using them in order, day 1 through 24, and then repeating, but going backwards from 24 back down to 1. So the 24th skein will be the whole 20 grams knit together, and then 23, 22, and so on back to 1. So it will kind of create a mirror image from one corner to the opposite corner. So that's what I'm planning on doing. I have divided my skeins in half, and I knit 10 grams of the first skein yesterday, and then today I'll add 10 grams of the next skein and carry on that way. So I'm excited to see how that goes. I don't expect to be able to keep up with doing the whole 10 grams every day. Some days are just busier than others. But if I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, I definitely won't finish the blanket this month anyway. So I'm not really worried about being done by Christmas. I just wanted to be able to knit on cozy Advent things through December and be able to just kind of enjoy the slower rhythmic pace of that piece. So I'm really excited and having so much fun already with this Advent calendar, and I can't believe the gift that Deborah sent me. I also wanted to show this this gorgeous progress keeper is from Deborah's sister Emily, the Salt City Knits podcast and Yarnberry Yarns. She sent me one of her stitch marker necklaces a couple of years ago for Christmas, and when I saw this first yarn yesterday, I thought, I know the perfect progress keeper for that blanket. And so it's so fun having Deborah's yarn and Emily's progress keeper all in the same project. I'm really enjoying that. So I'm keeping this for now in this Santa bag that I made. I love the blue and pink vintage Christmas. I prefer this over like the bright red and green. I prefer maybe more like the country red and green or the pastel blues and pinks. I just love this. He's so cute. So it won't fit in there forever, but for now it matches beautifully. Excuse me. So I'm still working along on my husband's Alaska socks. That's actually what I'm knitting on as I talk today. It's finally starting to make some more progress on those. These are just a really nice vanilla project for when I'm on the go, out and about. So I always enjoy having a vanilla sock on the needles. I've given my coziest memory blanket a little bit of attention, but not much. I just have finished the square that I was working on last time I recorded. I love that. I love working on it, but again, gift knits have been the priority lately. So it's kind of on the back burner for now. I haven't started my Be Thankful cardigan yet, but I have been swatching, and I have a couple of swatches here. They're very similar, but one is a little bit larger than the other. Just trying to figure out needle size and, you know, the fabric that I want. I'm really excited to knit on this. I think it'll be so fun to finally have a sweater that I made. So yeah, I'm getting everything ready for that, getting my notions together. When I finish this last pair of kids socks, maybe I'll be able to cast this on and work on it. Oh, I think it's so pretty. This is Knit Picks Simply Wool Aran in the Wallace colorway, I think. I just love the drape of it. I love the woolly natural, like I said, I love neutrals and natural colors. I love natural fibers, so I'm excited to knit a sweater with this. This is it in the cake. I think it's so nice. So I'm excited to have that someday. Let me think. I guess that's all. That's really what I've been working on the last couple of weeks. I guess now I will share some things I've been enjoying lately, like I like to do. The first thing is just a tiny little tool that makes such a difference in my sock knitting. This is just, well, you can see it. It is 2 different colored rings. So there's a pink one and a blue one. That are connected by a smaller silver ring. It's a stitch marker. It is designed to help with decreases. So I've heard a lot of people say that they hate doing a heel flap and gusset because of the decreases every round, and it's hard to keep track of it. I know some people don't like the heel flap and gusset for other reasons, like increasing stitches just to decrease them again, that feels like a lot of wasted effort. I actually really enjoy the process of a heel flap and gusset, so that doesn't bother me, but I do have a hard time sometimes. I mean, you can read your knitting and you can see whether this is a decrease row or not, but if you're on the go, you know, if you're just wanting something mindless, then you have to pay a little bit more attention to read that every time. And I certainly, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'm not going to remember from one row to the next. I have to look at it every time. So that's where this comes in really handy. I use them for toes as well. Anything that you have, you're doing something different every other row, like you're alternating between like a rest row and a pattern row, or a decrease row and a regular knit row. These are so handy. For me, I have several different ones. All of them have a blue ring, and then the other color may not always be pink, but my blue is always the decrease or the pattern. It's the non-rest row, and then the other color is always the alternate, the rest row or the plain knit row. And so that way I can tell at a glance what row I'm on, what I need to do, and I don't have to think about it. And I just absolutely love that. So I bought my markers from the Sheep and Wolf on Etsy, and last I checked just a couple of days ago, they didn't have anything in their shop right now, but you know, maybe they'll be back soon. I really love these markers. They are the best thing I have found. But if you look for this kind of thing, there are other similar options on Etsy to help you keep track of things like decrease rows. So that's my favorite that I've found, but if you can't find that, you might find something that you like. And it makes a vanilla sock so much more mindless. It just takes all the extra effort away. So you can just sit and knit and read or watch TV or chat with a friend or, you know, whatever. The other thing, I wanted to share a couple of books. One of my friends from this area that I have gone to church with for several years is moving away this weekend, and it's very sad. I'm not thrilled about it. I told her I'm choosing to be mature and not sabotage her move, but I am not in favor. But when I told her goodbye the other day, she gave me this book, and I thought it was just the sweetest thing. I have seen this online, but I had never read it until she gave it to me. It's called Extra Yarn, and if you haven't read it, you should find a copy. It is so sweet. It's about this little girl who knits, and her yarn just never runs out, and she knit herself. I think she starts with her sweater, and she just never runs out, and so she keeps knitting things because she's got extra yarn, so why not? So the start of the book, everything is very brown and gloomy, and then before you know it, she has changed the town. She knits for everybody, and then knits for things that don't usually wear sweaters because she still has all this beautiful yarn. And it's just the sweetest story. And I thought it was so sweet. This friend of mine gave me a book about yarn and a teacup as a farewell gift, which I thought was perfect. So, as I've said, giving and receiving gifts is one of my love languages. And I love books and I love yarn, so I thought that was kind of perfect, and I just wanted to share that. Another thing that I've found recently is this book that I am so excited to read with my girls. This is the L.M. Montgomery Christmas Collection. So this is just a collection of her poems and some excerpts from her novels, and maybe a couple of short stories, anything that kind of centers around Christmas. It's just things that were in the public domain that somebody collected and put together with classic art that was also in the public domain. So not necessarily originally related to Ellen Montgomery and her stories, but kind of some of them are Christmas, and some of them have to do with sheep and shepherds, and some of them are just, oh, they're so pretty, aren't they? So it's just artwork that the editor felt went with the stories and the poems well, and I think it is so pretty. So I got this at my local bookstore. And we just picked it up yesterday. I ordered it and we just picked it up yesterday, so I haven't really had a chance to look through it much, but I am so excited about it. When I saw it, I thought that is perfect. So the girls and I, as you know, we have our tea time book club every week, and the way it has just fallen the last couple of years, we have been kind of in between books in December. Like, we've wrapped up a book toward the end of November, and so we have done more of a Christmassy story for the month of December before getting into another novel. Right now we're actually in the middle of our current book, or not even quite halfway through, so I'm not sure what we're going to do, if we're going to pause and do a Christmas book, probably this one, or if we'll just, read it together elsewhere. But I'm really excited to read that. I have read most of those stories. I haven't read as many of her poems, but I love that it's just a nice compilation together, and I think it'll be so much fun. So I guess that's everything I had to show. So just a little bit of life stuff. Last week, I mentioned already, was Thanksgiving. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday. We had, including the 8 of us, we had 29 people here for lunch and the afternoon, and it was just lovely. My parents live here now. I grew up in Missouri, and my husband grew up here in Alabama. And so for most of our marriage, I have lived here near his family, and my family has all still been in Missouri, and my grandparents were in Arkansas. But in the last couple of years, my grandparents, my parents, and one of my brothers have all moved to this area. So now we are the only ones on either side of the family that have both sides living here local. And so it works out really nicely that we can host Thanksgiving and everybody that wants to and can be here from both sides is able to be together. Our families have known each other since I was a small child, so it's really just, one big family reunion. It's really fun. So my parents were here, my brother was here, 2 of my husband's brothers, some church friends, and just a lot of friends and family gathered together to eat and eat. We had so much food. We had a lot of fun just spending time together. So that was lovely. And then our tradition has become that the day after Thanksgiving, we go and pick out a Christmas tree. We've been getting real trees since the first year that we had our first baby. And so this was our 16th year to be getting a real tree. And a couple of years we've missed out because this tree farm sells out earlier and earlier each year. They're wonderful people. It's a beautiful farm, and they just have a hard time keeping up with the demand because the word has spread so much. It's been really neat watching their business grow over the years. But we've also learned that if we don't get our tree early, we might not get one. So we do that usually the Friday after Thanksgiving, and we just spend the day kind of recovering from Thanksgiving. And we usually will pull out the decorations from the attic on Thursday night or Friday morning, and then we get our trees and get them up and eat cookies and listen to Christmas music, and that's really when we shift from autumn to Christmas. So that was really fun. We always get a big tree for the living room, and then we have a small tree in here, which is what we call the knitting room, where I keep all my yarn things. So I love sitting here first thing in the morning when it's still dark outside and just the Christmas lights are on. It's one of my favorite things. So I love cozy, and that's one of the reasons I love this time of year. The soft lights and the more darkness outside, and just being able to kind of hunker down and cozy up. It's my favorite. Let me think. Another thing that we did right after Thanksgiving, I mentioned that a friend of mine is moving. They had a calf that they could not take with them, and so we brought their calf home with us, and she lives here now. Her name is Muscadine, and we are absolutely in love. She is like a big puppy. She's so cute, and we're trying to ease her into our little herd. She's only 7 months old, 6 months old, so she's missing her mama, but she's settling in pretty well, and she's gotten used to all of us and is very friendly with all of us. So it's been so fun having another baby on the homestead. She's just so sweet. I'll share some pictures of her. We just love her. So we're excited about her being here. Last night we went to an area-wide gospel singing. Some of you may know that I am a member of the Church of Christ. One of the things that the rest of the world knows about the Church of Christ is that we do a cappella singing. We don't use instrumental music in our worship. And I know that sounds strange to a lot of people, but I'm telling you, it is beautiful. And we love to sing. So there are a lot of congregations of the Church of Christ here in this area, and we get together. It's just an area-wide thing once a month. A different congregation hosts it each time, and we sing for about an hour and a half. And then we have a time of fellowship and refreshments, and just get to visit with people we don't see. Sometimes we don't see more than that one event every month. So that was last night, and it was just wonderful. I was so tired. I'm such an introvert, and when it gets dark especially, I just want to stay in, like I said, cozy up and be inside. So it's not uncommon, especially in the winter months, for me to not really feel like going. But then once I get there, I am so glad I did. So we were out kind of late last night doing that, but it's just cup filling and reviving. It's so encouraging. So that was wonderful. And That's part of why I'm letting the children sleep in a little bit today, because we were out kind of late last night. This afternoon we're going into town to see my brother in a Christmas play, so that will be fun. Just all kinds of things going on right now. So I guess I should go before the house wakes up. I think that's all I had to share with you. If not, I'll just tack it on next time. I hope to see you again in 2 weeks. That's what I'm going to shoot for. We'll see how it goes. But I hope that all of you are well. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope that you are able to cozy up and enjoy something beautiful today. Thank you for joining me. Bye.